This is Speakers of Hydaelyn. With Lucille Bravestone, Vero Sombrero, and Lonigan Cypher. Oh yes, it is me! Welcome to Speakers of Hydaelyn. This is episode 12 on April the 11th, 2015. As I said, I am Lucille Bravestone. We have a lot to talk about. This episode will focus heavily on the information that we have been given at the recent live letter 10/20. Live letter. Can't talk. I'm joined by Lonigan Cypher. Hello, Lonigan.
Hello.
Who also managed to speak over the intro for the first time ever. Congratulations on that. I'm also joined by the always loyal Vero Sombrero. Hello, Vero.
Hello.
We're going to talk just in a few seconds, or actually in a couple of minutes, because we're going to show you something in the very beginning. So we're just going to show you that, and we're not going to give you any context. Just have a look at that, and then we'll get back to you. Okay. Yeah. That was something. Now, if you've done coil already, you've already seen this final coil. This is sort of the reward for completing the final coil of Bahamut, the last turn. So a lot of people have already seen this, but the way they've spliced it together now, this video is no longer called End of an Era. It's called, what's it called? It's called something Flame. Jesus, I should have
Flames
remembered
of
this.
Truth.
Flames of Truth, correct, Lonigan, thanks. So yeah, we're not going to talk too much about it. I just thought that was a cool little thing that they showed. They've sort of, finally, this is open for everyone. Everyone can see this in full HD, just not handheld cameras trying to lure themselves away from copyright claims. So, let's talk about the previous patch. Or the current patch, 2.55, because it is now, I can say, very much allowed to talk about spoilers, because the opening cutscene for Heavensward was shown off today on the live letter 20, and it did spoil some of the main story. So if you don't want the main story up till 2.55 spoiled, you should probably turn off right this second. Let's just dive right into this. So basically what happens is that in 2.5 we learn that the Sultana, Nanamo Ulnamo, is planning to abdicate. Because Ulda is basically corrupt all the way through. She can find no way to help Ulda, because for one, she's sort of like most kings and queens in our society today. She doesn't have any real power. The power lies with the syndicate, which is not elected by the people in any way. They are there because they are rich. And rich people, they don't govern in the favor of the common man.
No.
They rule in the favor of themselves. So the Sultana has planned, basically, to abdicate, dissolve the monarchy completely and the Sultanate, thus forcing the syndicate to dissolve and turn Ulda into the first republic, like proper republic in Eorzea, which sounds like a sweet thing. I felt really sorry for Nanamo, because I really like Nanamo's character, even though she's been a bit shallow and tiny Lalafell and all that. But I felt like she really had, like, at least in 2.5, like in 2.55 in general, all characters were really good. But I felt like she had some real character development, like just at the end there. The fact that she was ready to sort of give up the like dissolve a monarchy that's been there for centuries. She's sort of the last in the line of Ulda. So what was your thoughts, Lonigan, about her abdicating? Let's not go further. Let's just talk about the abdication first.
The abdication, yeah.
Yeah, what did you think when she first announced this? Because that happened like a secret meeting with Merlwyb and Kane Senna, the leaders of Limsa and Gridania.
Well, it wasn't really surprising seeing how it would turn out after all the troubles with the refugees and people really moving out of... What?
Yeah, did you really think it would go that far? As an abdication? That really caught me off guard. Because, yeah.
Kind of late in the cards, but...
yeah, I guess.
Maybe not that far.
Yeah. Vero...
Maybe she would... Yeah. Well, it's the only way she could have dissolved the syndicate, so...
I guess. Vero, you have not paid attention to the main story at all. Which is why you are more of the outsider looking in. You know who Nanamo Ulnamo is, the Sultana from Ulda, right?
Yeah.
Little Lalafell with the pink hair. Yes. So I'm not going to ask you anything about this, because I don't think you know anything of it. So if Vero is very mute in this segment of the show, don't be alarmed. It's not because we hate her. It's because she doesn't have as much insight in the main story. So, while she's considering leaving or dissolving the Sultanate and the Syndicate, the Crystal Braves have trouble in the ranks. Because someone is a traitor, someone is betraying them, and people have been killed within the Crystal Braves. This sort of builds tension all the way up until a very fatal moment. So Anything else before we get to the actual part that I've missed, Lonigan? I don't think I've missed anything before we move on to the actual deal.
Well, it's kind of funny that if people remember from what Ilbert has been saying in the main story up until this,
Yes.
he said that he would never deceive anyone.
Yeah. He would rather
cut off
his arm.
Yeah. Something like that.
Something that is going to make a lot of sense in patch 2.55. So let's just dive into 2.55. Basically, if you haven't gotten this far yet, or if you have, you've noticed or you remember that you get a notification telling you that if you proceed, you will have to set aside a lot of time, because a lot of cutscenes are going to play in sequence, and it is important that you watch them till the end.
I think we spent like 2 hours.
Yeah, something like that. It was a very long but very epic cutscene. Or cutscenes, rather.
Too bad not all of them were voice acted, but...
Well, I will say, though, the only part that wasn't voice acted was at the very, very end.
Yeah.
And after you were through with that, it was like 5 minutes, and after that, everything was voiced again.
And also, remember to hit busy status.
Exactly, because when we did this, there was a flood of RMT people just spamming the hell out of us. So we got friend requests in the middle of the cutscene. That was very important, and not really bothered me. Twice I got that request.
And you can't remove them.
You can't remove it, because then you'll have the HUD up, and you'll have the HUD up for the entire cutscene. So.
And if you enter the scroll button to
if you
scroll
hide
lock,
the UI,
you will hide
text.
Yeah, so
that was nice. So remember to /busy if you haven't done this already. So, what happens? Well, the thing is that the plans of abdicating is only known to she doesn't confirm it to the other leaders. She's just alluding to it, that she might do it.
I think you're the first one who gets to know it.
The Warrior of Light.
Well, supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly. The Warrior of Light is called up to her bedchambers. Ooh, and she wants to meet with you. So you sit down, and this is where my mind suddenly clicked. If you watched the previous episodes, we've been speculating about someone's gonna die in this patch, and I've always speculated that a special someone was gonna die, and that someone was Nanamo, because that's the only way I could see sort of an end to Ulda's trouble, or I thought it would end the trouble in Ulda, but guys.
It started a whole other mess.
Well, when I saw the chalice on the table, my mind just went click, and I thought, she's gonna die, she's gonna get poisoned. And that is exactly what happens. You are alone in the bedchambers with Nanamo. There's no sexy time. She's gonna have a drink. She takes a sip. She's just told you that she's gonna abdicate. She's going to announce it on a banquet that has been held in honor of
the battle.
The battle of Ishgard, which is the thing we haven't mentioned, but we can mention that in the Heavensward section. But she takes a sip of the glass, or the chalice, and there's a zoom on her eye as she realizes that something's wrong with her wine, and she dies. She, like, literally dies right in front of your eyes in just mere seconds. And I was so like, they're not gonna kill her. They're gonna do something that makes it look like she's gonna die. No.
They made it
dies.
very clear.
Like, my heart just
slow motion from different angles, and
there was no doubt that she had died. Like, seriously, she died. And there's something about it. Like, Nanamo is a grown woman, but she's a Lalafell, so it kind of likes to pulls at your strings because she looks like a child. And a thing that I also remember, like I thought was a bit weird, is that you, the Warrior of Light, is still sitting in your chair for like a very long time before you actually react to the fact that the Sultana is dying in front of you.
And then after she's fallen to the ground and the chalice just rolls over, you go like...
Yeah, that's when you... But this is part of an elaborate plan, because immediately after the Sultana falls to the floor, who comes running in the door? Lord Lolorito of the Syndicate.
How convenient.
How convenient, with the brass blades behind him. And you, the Warrior of Light, is then arrested, suspected
Accused.
of regicide.
Yeah.
Which is a very bad thing in Eorzea. So it's very clear to me immediately that, like, Lolorito in the previous patches has been very, very suspicious acting. So we sort of knew that he was a bad guy from the get-go, and he now has
By the way,
you. By the way,
it wasn't Lord Lolorito. It was Taleji Adleji.
No, skip to the banquet where everyone is still happy.
Yeah, it was.
No one knows anything about what's going on. Lord Lolorito bursts into the room with some guards from Ishgard, or some knights from Ishgard rather, and declares that Ishgard has been struck by another surprise attack. So the Ishgardian convoy, or the
Representatives.
the Ishgardian representatives leaves the banquet hall, in which Rauban, who is Nanamo's right hand, and they have a very special relationship, almost like a father-daughter relationship. He sort of he's angry at Lolorito for bringing armed men into the royal hall.
At the banquet.
At the banquet. At which all hell breaks loose. He tells them that Nanamo has been killed by the Warrior of Light, you. And that the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, all of which are in the banquet hall, are suspected of regicide. So, let's just move on. He gets very, very mad. It turns out that his best friend, Ilberd, from the Crystal Braves, is the one who killed Nanamo, in which he goes completely nutcase, he kills Lord Lolorito.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Taleji Adleji.
No, Taleji Adeleji is the one with the mustache.
Is it?
He's the one behind everything.
Isn't Lord Lolorito with the mustache?
Google Lord Lolorito. I'm telling you. It's Lord Lolorito who's dead. So Taleji Adeleji gets Ilbert to attack Rauban, and they have like a massive Final Fantasy-esque fight, and he loses an arm. They both have mustache. Yeah, but he has like a very, like, I think Lolorito has like a tiny...
Lolorito is the one who has the thing in front of his face.
Is it?
Yeah.
Lolorito is the one? Oh, shit. Well, they're Lalafels.
I'm pretty sure that Taleji Adleji was the one...
He kills Taleji Adeleji, and Lord Lolorito remains. So Lord Lolorito is the one behind all this. So he cuts off his arm, and he's imprisoned. So you, the Warrior of Light, has to flee from Ulda with the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. The thing that really struck me, though, is that they sort of... They are left behind, sort of, to sort of protect you, the Warrior of Light. So the first one to sort of get left behind are Papalimo and Ida. They're left at the Chamber of Rule, and it's very clear that they want us to believe that they have died. Everyone, one by one, the Scions of the Seventh Dawn sort of die. And there's also a part where you run through a hidden passageway underneath Ulda. And Menphilia sort of stops, and she says, Hydaelyn is speaking to me, and then she says, no! And then she just goes back. She's telling you to move on, that she has to carry on through there and sort of stop them from getting to you, or slow them down at least. So what they want you to believe is that every single member of the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, including Menphilia, Thancred, Papalima, Y'shtola, Ida, all of them are dead. And that broke my heart again, but I don't think they're all dead, to be honest. But there's also a part at the very end that really confused me. There's a sequence with the Ascians in which Urian J.
You skipped a part.
I skipped?
Yeah, I forgot to mention the new character.
Oh. I'll just do this first, because this is
Okay.
a very separate part of the story. It just doesn't make sense that it's in there at all, because this happened a previous patch ago. But the Ascians are talking about the fact that we killed Nebrialis. Is that what it was called?
Nebrialis, yeah.
And someone steps in from behind, and he's like, "You summoned. I have answered the summon, and it's
Bye.
Yorianje." And it leads me to think that he's either an Ascian
Or controlled by one,
or
like
controlled,
Thancred
like,
was.
Yeah, exactly, like Thancred was. It was just weird that it was in there. Didn't you find that a bit out of place? Like, all of this shit happened.
Yes, but I think it was Rauban before, right after he helped you get out of your cuffs.
Yeah.
He said something like, "You guys have to escape," blah blah blah, and that there's a bigger plot here that I have yet to understand,
Yes.
and that also might include the Ascians. Who knows?
Yeah, because that makes there's a cutscene somewhere where an Ascian is standing behind the Archbishop of Ishgard. Do you remember this?
Yes.
I don't remember I can't remember this cutscene, like the context of it. If it's been in a trailer or if it's, I don't remember this, but there was an Ascian standing behind the Archbishop of Ishgard. So maybe the Ascians have something to do with all of this. That's like the Ascian storyline is just, I'm very confused. But let's jump a bit back. You're on your way out of Ulda. You run into Alfinod, which I have also forgot to mention his Crystal Braves. Turns out every single one of them has betrayed you, and they are now gone dark side. So they tried to kill Alfinod, but he was saved by someone with a very good voice actor, if I may say so myself. His name is Pippin. There's something
Pippin.
about Pippin, Alden. And if you love Final Fantasy lore, that last name should ring a bell, because that is Rauban's last name. This is Rauban's son. And
Pippin Tarapin, was it?
yes, Pippin Tarapin, Alden. And he is Rauban's adopted son, none other than that. So that's awesome. And another part that really made me laugh is that a carriage pulls up, because you're like, oh, where are we going now? And then a carriage pulls up, and it's the dude from the very first cutscene you encounter, and he's got a voice actor, which was really fun, because I sort of like, oh god, maybe now they have a voice actor, they might actually voice the first cutscenes of the game. But that was fun to see him again and with a voice. Then there's a weird section with no voice acting, which is weird because they both.
Yeah, that's when Sid comes in.
Yeah, and Sid has a voice actor.
Yeah, maybe he was
So-
sick that day or something.
He was sick that day, so that was.
And it wasn't a lot of dialogue either. It was just
Couldn't see why that wasn't voiced, but it wasn't nonetheless. So I mean that was weird. But yeah, that's very roughly going through what happened in patch
and so
2.55.
Sid comes up and he takes you from Central Thanalin over to Quarthus, where you seek refuge, and you find Tataru.
Yeah.
With
With Alfinod.
yeah, no, not with Affluent comes with you, but
Oh, that guy from Ishgard. I can never remember his name.
and you get kind of a new sanctuary, or and it's called the Falling Snows.
Well, he says the Falling Snows with like a grin because he's so smart, he's so clever. This is your new base, the Falling
you really
Snows.
like that one?
I liked that. That was fun. So now your situation now, the Warrior of Light, is that you're banished from Eorzea. Basically, you have been pushed up into the cold and icy Ishgard. You can still walk around in Ulda when you complete the main story, though. I mean, of course you can, but basically in the main storyline you are banished from Ulda and probably from Limsa and Gridania as well, like because of it could have been troublesome if you were hiding in Limsa and you're being accused of regicide. So that's basically it. That's sort of the lead up to Heavensward. And my god, was it a good ending. Like, everything happened. Like, everything that you sort of missed from the main story, quests and cutscenes, they were all there. So if you
Yeah.
haven't seen this yet, I urge you to watch it
And
immediately.
the last part of the main story also builds up to the trailer that came today.
We were treated with a trailer, and we're gonna show it to you. It contains parts of patch 2.55 and also Heavensward, of course. This is they've said that this is the opening cutscene for Heavensward. So I think without further ado, we're gonna show this to you. It's really good, and we're gonna analyze it and go through it right after. So yeah, let's go. Well, if that wasn't some badass Square Enix cutscene, then I don't know. That was the trailer and opening for Heavensward. Vero, have you seen this before?
Yes.
Yes, you did. You have seen it before.
Today.
Yes, you did. What are your first impression? What do you think of it? From someone who doesn't really know the main story, so what is your view on this? Are you excited to play Heavensward, Vero?
Yeah. Really.
Does that video make you even more
of course
excited to play it? Yeah.
I wanna visit the flying
Yeah, the floating islands.
Floating islands, yeah.
Lonigan,
Thoughts? Yeah, well, I really like, my approach to it, or what I think about it, is that when you walk into the gates towards Ishgard, you walk over the battlefield. That's the aftermath of probably the surprise attack, and also the Steps of Faith trial.
That trial, yeah.
And then you're kind of introduced by what's to come from Dravania.
Yeah.
With the dragon just blasting you with flames.
Yeah. That, yeah. Do you continue if you have anything to
No.
add? Okay, yeah. Because there was, there's so much goodies in this. Like, the details of everything in this.
Just footsteps in the snow and the wind coming towards your face.
Hair and the eyes of the Warrior of Light, everything is so perfect. We're sort of used to it by now. Square Enix does produce some really kick-ass cutscenes, but seeing they've really gone for the heartstring pulling here, because there's a lot of stuff that makes me angry, stuff that makes me sad, seeing Nanamo die all over again in full HD.
Finally seeing Raban in CGI.
Yes, seeing
and
Raban.
Also he becomes an old man.
Yeah, he looks like a really old man in there. So it makes me wonder, is this gonna, is Heavensward gonna take place, far ahead of time? Ahead in time?
They've tortured him with some kind of aging potion. or something.
That's the worst torture. Yeah. So, yeah, it's, everything in that, everything is perfect. And for the first time, we hear the new title theme, composed by Nobeo Matsu, the All Hail, the man who's made all Final Fantasy music. Not as much with Final Fantasy XIV. He did make Answers and a couple of other themes within this game, but mostly in 1.0. So yeah, this is quality. But what
you told me, they have the first intro song, the intro song for A Realm Reborn.
Yeah.
Was hard to cover.
Yeah, a lot of people have complained, people that like to do covers of Final Fantasy songs, have said that Answer is particularly hard to cover because it has a very high something. It's very difficult to sing, apparently. If
this
you
one, though,
to sing Answers, you know this. This song is going to be even harder to cover. So, bless you, old cover singers out there. You're going to have to work on this one. What can we read out of this video, quickly? Is there anything that we can... we see the airships, we see Dravania, we see Sid, so we know Sid's gonna be there. The floating islands, battle with dragons, and we get to see, a little bit of Ishgard in its CGI glory.
And obviously the story or what happens in Ulda will play a part, it looks like.
Yes, it does. As it should, of course. It would have been weird if we went to Heavensward and we didn't hear a peep from Ulda. Because we see this evil thing with the lightning bolts, and you can see Lolorito standing there with his brass blades smiling. So something's going to happen in Ulda for sure. Let's go with what we were told then at the live letter. There was a lot of new stuff being revealed. If we have time to do... Yeah, we will. So they're gonna do some... I actually have the slides here, so let's see if Lukiel can fix this. This right here is how the main menu
screen?
or the title screen is gonna look like on Heavensward. It's gonna be a weird change to see this when you start the game now. So
Very dark.
very dark. Also, want to point out a thing, and that is that in the CGI trailer we saw blood. There was blood when Raban's arm was chopped off. That didn't show in game. In game, you just saw the arm sort of, but there was no blood anywhere. But in this trailer, we could see blood. So they have said that Heavensward is going to be darker than A Realm Reborn, and this is probably the proof that this is going to be a tad darker than we used to. So this is the title screen. Let's move on to the. Okay, let's see. There we go. Oh, okay. See, Lukiel, this worked. I promise you. There we go. This picture we don't need to look at. Oh, it's the wrong. I know why it doesn't work. There we go. The main scenario of the Dragonsong War is more than 50 hours of gameplay. Additional content to be introduced in future patches. So it's more than 50 hours of gameplay, this patch. So it's about the same size as A Realm Reborn. So you'll spend as much time as you did going through A Realm Reborn as you will with... No, you will spend as much time going through Heavensward as you did with A Realm Reborn. So that's good to know that they've made a good expansion. This is not important. The Aura, we all know of this. So, side quests? We're going to talk about that? No. The quest for new jobs. They said it does say it's just question marks. That when the quest for new jobs will start. It was revealed later on that was at level 30. The new areas will be 50 to 100% larger than the existing ones. 9 new areas, including Ishgard and the floating continent. Fates in all new areas, new mounts, unrestricted landing and takeoff on the flying mounts. This is really just stuff that we sort of expected. So, battle system updates. We watched a translation of this, and the translation was a bit dodgy. They're gonna improve battle animations, and they used Rage of Halon as an example. Now, I cannot tell you which one is the before and after. One of them is. So it's either more bling or less bling. So...
It's probably more bling.
Yeah, probably. Knowing Square Enix correctly, this is probably it. So, okay. So, I want to show you something that we didn't see. There was a benchmark that they showed off. We didn't see the entire benchmark. Pardon me. We didn't see the entire benchmark, but we did see a bit. And what's very cool about this benchmark is that we actually see the classes in action for the first time. So let's have a look then at the new classes. There is Japanese speech on this one. They're just talking over it because it was part of they were just testing. So this wasn't supposed to, I don't think this was supposed to go live, or you know how Yoshi P is. So let's look at this.
フルで流すから
そっかそっかごめんごめんこれ1080だったらこれがちょうどいいかなと思ってねこんなんだったよね 2.0 のベンチこれねこんなんだったでしょ
嘘
俺だよほら
ソケンさんこれ違いますよ
違くねえよこれいたでしょこういうキャラほらいたじゃないこれ 2.0 暗黒騎士さいたでしょ
いやだって 2.0 でしょ俺ナイトか戦士でしか悩んだことないけどな
これシャキーンさこれ出てきたでしょこれ違うんだよこないださ
これいやマジモンでしょだって
あれなんかちげえなあれだからほらこれあれ
ほらカード出してんじゃんだって
あれ白魔導士いるなカードを使うのか今度の白魔導士はなんつってもなこれなんだあれ鉄砲撃ってたのなめる
Okay, so that's the benchmark, or a part of the benchmark, with Japanese speech there. So that's an interesting look at the new classes and how they play. We don't really see how they play, but for the first time we see them in actual action. And this was in a dungeon, presumably one of the new ones. So that's pretty cool. So let's just skip through. Well, let's not look at the slides. Let's just talk about what we've noted down here. For crafting, big news for crafters or master crafters, because you will now have crafting tomes. What are your thoughts about this? We have with and without cap. They're called scripts.
Scripts.
Lonigan, what are your thoughts on crafting tomes?
Well, we've been talking about this for a long time because the available crafting gear or forager's gear even.
Yeah.
It's not only limited, but the accessibility of it might be a little bit too hardcore, maybe.
Yeah, because how
for some players at least.
Yeah, because how the system is right now, you have to either craft your own gear, or buy it off the market board for a very steep price, or get the artisan gear. But you cannot get the artisan gear unless you have some very good crafted gear. So
And, with this, you will be able to, for the tombs that are not capped, you will get kind of good gear, or at least
we don't
a
know
lot
what
better
gear
than.
we're getting, though.
Yeah, but at least you will get a lot better than it's not called relic gear maybe for crafters, but
yeah, the
you know.
artifact gear for
Yeah, the artifact gear.
for relics for crafters.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you also have the capped one, which requires more attention
Yeah.
for the more hardcore players, I
Yeah.
suppose.
So this is for the people that only do crafting, like crafters that don't do endgame, like the disciple.
Their main
or
is
magic.
culinarian.
Yeah, like if you're maining a culinarian, this will increase your gaming experience, because now you too can say that I've capped for the week. Something you couldn't say before. Now this is I like this idea, like this concept here of because it brings more. Like a lot of people have been complaining about how the crafting and gathering system works in this game, because there's no real reward for getting your class to 50, because you have to make your own damn gear and everything is just a bore.
It's all about the money, really.
Huh?
Like, it's all about money.
Yeah. It
Or
is.
gil.
It is. The way you get the tomes is from collectible quests from Rowena. Thank you for that. Sounds like a thrilling experience picking up collectible items for Rowena, but she does give you scripts, so we shouldn't complain. New recipes, already knew this. Specialization, this is cool. Specialization, you can specialize now. In maximum 3 crafting classes. Like, I think we had like sort of a similar system in 11. I'm not going to go into this, because crafting in 11, don't want to talk about it. Don't want to talk about crafting in 1.0 either. Let's just keep that out of here. But you get specialization abilities and recipes. So you get, if you're let's say you're specialized in culinarian, if that's your specialty, you get recipes only a specialist can use. So that's pretty cool. It sort of pays off to specialize in one class or 3 classes even. Let's see. I almost said something in Norwegian. New quests for crafting classes 50 to 60. Already knew this too. Job quests for Disciple of Magic and Disciple of War. The new job quests will start at level 50. This also makes sense. But the new jobs will start at level 30. So you need to have another class up to 30 in order to. I think at least that's what I've read from it.
Yeah, and if you look at slides, it says new job quests from 50 to 60 with that line. Does that mean that there will be a new job quest for each level, or?
That too is difficult. I don't know what they mean.
Because they didn't say anything about that. At least not the translator.
Well, if
translated any of that.
Because
in that way.
Yeah, I know, but they said that each job quest would give you new abilities, which I think is a bit too much.
10 new abilities.
That's a lot of abilities on top of the ones you already have. Like, I'm not saying I don't want them, but it sounds like an awful lot.
Too much.
Yeah, it does. Only
But
for 10
if you
levels.
consider from level 40 to 50, Apart from the class abilities, how many you got? 3 job abilities. And how many class abilities did you get from 40 to 50? Did you get 7? No, maybe 4.
Yeah.
So I suppose 10 abilities isn't that much, really.
Still, like the job quest for every 5 levels. Burps. For every 5th level, sorry, you got a job quest and you got a job item or a job skill. Sorry. If you're telling me that we're gonna get a job quest for every level up to 10, Jesus Christ, how the hell are we gonna do this? How am I gonna play my class with like 10 extra abilities to? Oh god, it sounds like way too much. Like
Really confusing.
they've said that it's gonna take some time to level from 50 to 60 though. So maybe you're onto something there. That because it's such a long grind, we get a reward for each.
But maybe
level.
if you maybe you get instead of only new abilities, maybe you will get new traits.
Yeah, that too, of course. That too. So maybe 5 skills and 5 traits.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fair deal. Yeah, cool. New fates, leave quests. These are all high level. And all the new areas will have fates. Hooray! They also said that they will have large fates. So they made a sort of a comment on that because they said that it looked really cool and that we'll be really amazed by it. Don't know what they mean by that, but you didn't. Just went AFK for some reason. So that's like, should at least look forward to it, I guess. So new tombstones. Elegant tombstones of law and elegant tombstones of esoterics.
Yeah.
Esoterics. So the law ones are uncapped, so you can get as many of those as you want. The elegant tombstones of esoterics. It's gonna take some time before I can say that without having to think twice. That will have a cap.
It's kind of like how Tombs of Philosophy and Mythology was when A Realm Reborn came out.
Well, it's like Soldiery and Poetics is right now, though.
And that.
Yeah, and that. It doesn't say what the cap is, though. But I'm guessing 450, like usual. But you never know. So the flying mounts, I'm not really that amazed. I'm not that interested in the flying mounts for some reason. I'm a bit bummed out that we're getting them now. Because if you look at WoW, well, if you look at like MMOs like WoW and like WoW, the areas are empty because everyone is flying. And I don't want that to happen to Eorzea, which is why they didn't have, that's why they didn't have flying mounts in the first place, because...
And that's why they've increased the speed relative to the flying mounts for the ground mounts.
That's true. So you can actually get there faster by using a ground mount rather than a flying mount, actually. Which is a weird thing, but okay, fine. So you can. But
of course, you need the flying mounts for the floating cities.
That is true. That's true. So that's more why they've been implemented, sort of to get you to the floating continents, not to get you there faster. You can actually make your chocobo fly, your own chocobo, the one that you've trained. Apparently, you'll be able to make it fly after doing a quest of some sort, which is cool. They are also thinking about making our current flying mounts, flat mounts that have wings and are levitating above ground, to make them actually fly, like the Ahriman, like the big eye with the wings.
Not the fat chocobo.
Yoshi P said in an earlier, I don't know when it was, but he did say...
1st of April?
He did say that they wanted to make the fat chocobo fly because it would look silly and funny. So yeah, you could get really high up in the world before you hit the top of the map, which actually had an effect, which I thought was interesting.
Invisible shield.
Instead of just slowing down the mount and then just stopping, it actually like, which was, I don't know, it's a cool thing. New content will be treated with 8...
Skipped something.
New dungeons. Really, but we can't take everything. What do you want?
kind of interesting.
The owl people in the skies.
Yeah, because what they do often when they are just showing some kind of mechanic of the game, they leave in stuff and they do not comment at it.
Yeah.
And like when they were flying in the floating cities, you can see these NPCs just standing there like, because
Yeah.
it's dev mode.
Yeah.
And they looked like some kind of weird owl
Well,
humanoid thing, which might be a new beast tribe.
it is a new beast tribe. Actually, Lonigan, I think this was the period where you were not available for Final Fantasy XIV, but this was revealed to be a beast tribe, the owl people. I think they are the ones worshipping Bismarck, the new primal, the whale one. But yes,
that makes sense.
It does make sense. It is right. Well, I think
Whales and owls.
I'm pretty sure that is. So yeah, so we did see them walking around in the floating islands. So in the new contents that we're getting 8 new dungeons.
Oh.
Full dungeons, completely new. The new raid, Alexander. New trials, Ravana and Bismarck. Ravana is brand new. She or it, the primal does not exist in any other Final Fantasy game, which makes this this is her first appearance. She's unique to Final Fantasy XIV, and I think that's pretty cool that they're making the tradition that they're making monsters with every game. New main scenario quest in the new areas and Ishgard, 50 hours of gameplay, we just talked about that. This is cool, the new loot system. If you're a raider, you've probably wanted this for a long time, but the party leader can now set the raid or the loot rules to all greed, so no one can need, everyone has to greed. You can also the leader can also select who's going to get what kind of loot. Like someone wants the monk head, and the party leader can then tick that off and say that if that drops, he's going to get it. And you could also auction. There's an auction mode. So if you really want an item, you can vote to have an auction, and the one with the highest bid gets the item.
Did they say anything? No, they didn't. But it would have been nice if you could pre-order some items, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, I guess you could do that. Well,
like if before you enter a dungeon or a raid, you just agree on which party members want what kind of loot. Like I want the helm, I want the yeah.
I guess. Well, this is more than enough for now, though. Like having the system, like they can build upon this system now, but we're getting the system. So that's pretty cool. So updates to be made for the user interface, the UI, and improvements to be made for the duty finder. One thing we have to talk about in that, that's important. You can now enter the duty finder with a smaller party than required.
In some dungeons.
So you can actually go into a dungeon with only 2 people. What?
Why?
I mean, why?
For a challenge.
For a challenge, I guess.
And also you can be automatically synced to the lowest item level for that dungeon.
You can apparently now select
or trial or raid.
You can probably check. There's probably a checkbox where you can force a item level sync so that your item level is synced to the minimum item level, so you can experience the dungeon how it was intended to be, which I think is pretty cool. For the people that don't feel like there's enough hardcore content in the game, this is definitely something you should try out.
Maybe it's probably
without a healer. No.
Maybe it's possible to turn off echo buff as well. I don't know.
Well, you can turn off echo buff by right-clicking the echo buff actually.
Oh.
If you're doing coil. So that's always been there, but you can do it with the minimum item level, which is even tougher. So I think that's about it, unless there's something we've skipped. I'm gonna show the trailer again at the end here, but I think we're all done. So thank you everyone who's watching. The next episode will be on April the 18th at 7 p.m. GMT. Note our new time. Follow us on Twitter at SpeakersXIV and Facebook at facebook.com. facebook.com/speakersxiv. Yes, we're on Facebook now. And you can follow us on Twitter, as I said, just said it, and throw us a follow on Twitch. We're on twitch.tv/speakers of Hydaelyn, and we're also on YouTube and iTunes. The links are available below me. I've been joined by Lonigan the Cypher and Vero Sombrero, and we'll see you on the 18th. Bye. Exactly.
What are we doing?
Exactly. That's.
We've been doing this for half a year.
Yeah.
Of course, it's hard.
It's supposed to be. It's supposed
It's
to be the
supposed
challenge.
to be hard.
Yeah.
It just sucks to know that people can do it the easy way.
Though there is a catch, because the gear that drops will be different from normal to hard.
Yeah,
So,
of course. But the point is, you can clear it.
Yeah.
The
That's-
easy way.
I
The
know.
easy way out. And
there's-
that's not good. Of
unless
course.
unless the cutscenes are different from normal to hard,